and today I have a great topic I'd like to discuss with you about how to get specifics from your spirit guides. So, what happens a lot of times is when people are channeling or trying to get information, oftentimes they get very generic information, very, just kind of like you can feel their presence there and you can feel them sort of like, okay, they're around, but, do I get very detailed information? So what I'm going to do in this work, in this talk today is take you through some very specific step-by-step processes on how to get more detailed information from your spirit guides. So please stay tuned till the end. Watch this video if you can. And what's really important is it's important to go down deep and actually get details, because what happens is if we're just general, there's not really too much power in just something that's general. So have you ever had a reading where somebody is just basically giving you very general information and you're like, well, okay, yeah, that's great, but that could pretty much apply to anyone. But when a good reader, someone who's doing a psychic reading, can give like very detailed, specific information about something, then there's a lot more power in that. And let me give you an example. For example, like if when I'm training my students, I'll say to them, especially at the more advanced levels, I'll say, okay, how are you getting this information? Like, which one of these clairs are you getting this from? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm just getting it. I don't know how I know. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine if you're a beginner kind of channeler and you're just trying to learn these things. But you want to get to a point where you know which one of the different clairs that your spirit guide is communicating to you with. Like, is it clairvoyant? Is it clairaudient? Is it clairsentient? And then the reason why is because once you know which clair or clairs it is, then you can go deeper into that specific clair to extract and get even more detail from that spirit guide, because that's the clair that they're trying to communicate with you. Okay. Another example is when I'm teaching my medical mediumship to my students, is that when you're scanning an aspect or a part of the person, medical mediumship, and if you're just generic, you want to try to go deeper with, okay, what am I really getting? Like, let's, instead of just talking generalities, like it's the general, this area of their body or this aspect of them. No, get very specific. Which component, which aspect, which organ, which system is it? And then from there, then you can lead to the next step eventually, which is healing. And there's power in that. So there's power in specifics rather than just generalities. And I could go on and on and on and use a whole bunch of different examples. So the question is, how do I get specific information from my spirit guides? So the first thing that I recommend my students do is identify where they are physically in your vicinity, in your room. And the reason why this is so powerful is because when you know where they are physically around you, then what you can do is hone in on them, lock in on them, and then increase your connection with your spirit guide. That gives you a focal point. Think of it like a candle. They're not a candle, but it's an analogy of a candle. And once you know where they are physically in your room, you lock in on them, you increase your connection with your guides, or with that specific guide. And then what you do is a technique that I've developed. I call it the tunneling technique. And this is what you do is when you ask your guide a question like, what would you like to tell me about this certain area of my life? And you let them guide the conversation, let them direct the conversation. And then what you do is when you start getting information from them, again, through one of the different clairs or maybe multiple clairs, and you start to receive that information from them, then you ask, is there anything more? Is there anything more? What else can you tell me about this? Can you elaborate on this? Can you tell me even more? And you tunnel down, you try to get as much information, extract as much information from your spirit guide as you can until you get to the end where you can't go any further. And that's why I call it the tunneling technique. You're tunneling down as far as you can to get that information, to retract, extract, and receive as much information as you can about that topic that you're trying to get information about that, the guidance your spirit guide is trying to give you. And by using this technique, what can happen is you can go way deeper and get way more pertinent, practical, relevant information from your spirit guide than just general information. Okay, how cool is that? So my name is Ken Lewicki. The name of my company, the name of my website is channelinginc.com. Please go to visit my website. I do formal training. I do introductory classes. I do one-on-one sessions. I do healing, group healings, all sorts of really cool stuff. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to type out or private message me, and we'll talk soon. Have a great day.